Hi everyone! We started this challenge with 4 buildings and the main hood and lots of empty space to build our future town. And we've spent many episodes on gathering resources and visiting the quarry and the forest and scavenging for items. Today we are finally going to expand that original settlement lot, and also we're going to add our first new house, which means we're going to have our first new household. And this also means that now we have met the requirements and the group of 18 survivors is complete. We are going to have the first wedding in this episode, although that didn't really go as planned. That is absolutely adorable. Amin is like, yeah, I want whatever they're having. Brigitte having a little party of his own. Welcome back to the Survivor Settlement. Today is a big day because we are going to have a wedding, the first one of hopefully many more. John and a few others are still inside the building getting cleaned up with some water buckets since we have a good and steady water supply now, and outside the others are waiting around the campfire until it's time to go. We are of course getting ready for the wedding of John and Brandy, but I'm sure you already guessed that. We can't take everyone with us because some of the survivors are just too exhausted from working and we cannot leave the settlement without a few Sims guarding it. And as per usual, we will look at what the ones who stayed home have done during this time after we come back from the wedding. Also, when we come back, we are going to expand the settlement because we have unlocked the expansions on both the left and the right side of the area, and I can't wait to show you because that's going to be really cool. But yeah, John and Brandy are going to take Christy, Abhijit, Melissa, Kome, Kennedy, Sandy and Marilena with them for the celebrations. And to celebrate this first wedding, we are going to the cornfields. And just because they were sitting around the campfire and it would be awkward not to take them with us, also Amin and Joe. Even though they have just met and are very new to the group, I think that Joe would take the opportunity to bond a little with the others, and Amin would honestly do anything that can be an excuse not to work, so yeah, let's just go. So let's see, most of them are actually in a pretty good mood. Abhijit didn't really wash himself. Amin is alright, Brandy is alright, Joe, John, Kennedy, he's in a very good mood, Kome, Marilena, Melissa forgot to wash herself and Sandy really needs to use the toilet. But other than that, they're all ready. So we have of course been to the cornfields before, but it was cut off on this side. You could see the last row of corn stalks right here. And other than that, absolutely nothing. But if you look at neighborhood view, there's like a huge area of old fields. And yeah, so what I did for this episode is, or what the survivors actually did for this episode for the wedding, they cleared a little part of the old fields. So we now have this little open area right here. They cleared it and they prepared some things for the wedding of John and Brandy. It's all gonna be very practical, but just because it's practical doesn't mean that they cannot have like a romantic moment and a little bit of festivities for this first wedding. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. Abhijit also crafted one more item that I haven't shown you yet in the last episode when we went through all of the things that he crafted, and that is a wedding arch. So we are now going to place that here and we can have a wedding. Also, you might have noticed, I didn't, not until I was actually done editing, that I realized that we left the tent and the sleeping bags down at the quarry. So we lost those, and that's not realistic. So I put them here, I put in a new tent, and the sleeping bags are inside of this old shed. They also crafted a better bucket right here. This is going to stay here. And the sleeping bags and the tent we are obviously going to take home. And I made a little bit of a fireplace for later tonight, and they can have some soup because that's really the only meal that they're having right now. So we'll stick to the soup. And another thing is this chest. So I talked in the last episode about John getting the 5,000 simoleon bonus. That is obviously going to be crafting points. That's why their funds are so high right now. And what we can do with that is we can make our own little treasure chest. But we are not going to do that now. We are going to do that after the wedding because I seem to have placed the wrong kind of chest. So let's get ready for the wedding. First of all, we want to form a group. Ask to form a casual group for an outing. We are going to cancel his arrival. What is she doing? Yeah, they are going to... Oh, this is really cool. Christy is going to light the fire. That is perfect because we want her to do that. But she cannot reach it, so we're gonna have to help her, but that's gonna be fine. So John is now in an outing with Brandy, but we want all of these guys to be in an outing and then proceed to the wedding. Ask to join casual group, and we're just going to do that for all of these guys. And I am of course using a mod for that, and I will link that in the description. There we go. Now all we need to add is Christy. And let's get married. Now you can you can see this is not a normal wedding arch. This is a special wedding arch, and I will link this one in the description too. We do have a very romantic wedding right now, but you can have any of the Sims get married even if they have like a really low relationship, which is perfect for like Victorian times or, you know, a settlement like this where they might get married before they are actually in love. Also, I have romantic standards, and it's actually quite usual that some of them will refuse a wedding proposal. So yeah, we might just skip that part and go straight to the wedding when it's not the most romantic relationship. We'll have to see in the future, but we have the wedding arch for now. Also, it's less festive, so it means that yeah, we are in a post-apocalyptic world, and it's not really like a very luxurious and romantic wedding. So that's why we have this one. But yeah, let's get this thing started. We do have some formal outfits. Most of them have a formal outfit. This is where I was going to tell you that they probably have some sort of formal outfit in their backpacks. They have been scavenging too, so they could have found some nice clothing or not too shabby clothing anyway. But this is also when I realized that the ground hadn't been flattened. Now, it took me a while to get this sorted, so we will just skip that part and skip to the solution to continue the wedding. I'm pretty sure that Sandy is going to use the toilet back there. Marry Brandy. Let's try it one more time. It's going to be dark soon, and I wanted them to have a wedding in the daylight. Oh, they are not sitting on the hay bales. Are we waiting for Sandy? This is probably going to mess up the time for when they come home, but I really wanted this to be a daylight wedding, so we're going to cheat. And it's magically 4 o'clock again. And there we go, we have Mr. and Mrs. Montgomery. And of course some of them are going to congratulate them. There we go. Yeah, the problem with the campfire is also that it's on a sloped terrain, which is weird because it shouldn't be, but it is. So we are going to just flatten this area too. There, I think that should do it. We're going to test if, where is she? Christy can light this fire. Marilena is going to serve the food. And of course, Abhijit and Kennedy are fighting. I said in the previous episode, if they are going to have a fight, I'm going to let them. But right now it looks like he's going to attack Kome. So let's let all of them get some food and distract them. Because we also want this outing meter to go up and not down. that would be like really disastrous. They didn't really have a romantic moment yet. So let's take a nice picture for the later generations. There we go. And I'm not sure if they are hungry, but they could certainly join the others. And we are just going to adjust the hay bales so that they can all sit here. Probably should have made a second campfire because it's going to be really cold tonight. So let's see if we can get this outing score go up again. Abhijit really should grab a plate. We'll help them out a bit because they are standing on the wrong side of the table for some reason. That is probably my fault. This has been like the messiest wedding I have ever done. We're just going to move the table. There, that should fix it, right? Melissa seems to be congratulating Brandy. That's really cool. Grab a plate. Is there anyone that is close to becoming friends? Because we have like a really boring outing on our hands right now. The quickest way out of that is really a couple woohooing or someone making a friend. Maybe Abhijit and Brandy. No. The closest thing that they can get is probably Abhijit and Sandy. But I'd really like to keep these two apart. Let's see if Brandy can manage to hug Marilena. And let's just, I don't know, try and do that twice. We might make it. She's gonna have to put down the bowl. And you can see that behind here it's completely empty. But there are cornfields, there are old fields right there. Let's see, did they become best friends? No, Marilena is actually 3 points away from that. So admire and hug her again. 5 seconds. We're not going to make it, are we? Nope, we have a disastrous outing. Well, what did you expect? We're in a post-apocalyptic world. It's an empty field, but still, I thought we would get a little bit of a higher score. We should have just sat around watching grass grow. It would have been less effort and about as much fun. I think they did sit around and watch grass grow. Honestly, I don't get that message a lot, so I didn't know it said that, but that's really funny. We did sit around and watch grass grow. Anyway, let's just get back to what we were doing. They were having some food, sitting around the campfire and just talking and bonding a little. For some reason, we have these guys sitting on top of each other. I'm not sure. It's probably because of because they were standing up. Yeah. Because now everyone is commemorating the horrible outing that they just had. And it's going to be dark in 1 second, but doesn't really matter. We still have the fireworks that Abhijit has brought. They can have their food a little later. So I brought all of the fireworks that were in the shed. They keep going into the shed to get the fireworks, and that's just so unrealistic. I don't know, I just wanted to get rid of it, so I thought it would be fun if we could just light some fireworks to make this a little bit more of a celebration. So let's see if at least that is going to work. And it should be of no surprise to you if you've seen the rest of the episode that this didn't work because also this part of the ground wasn't flattened. So this has been by far the most messy wedding or the most messy party I have ever done in The Sims. But we're sticking with it. We're sticking with it because it seems to fit the world that they're living in. So yeah, we're just gonna keep going. And also it's still a challenge. So if there are no redos on a scavenging trip, why would there be a redo on a party trip? Like they're already taking time away from being efficient and working on their skills and their objectives and working towards their achievements. So yeah, it doesn't really matter if this goes well, but let's just say that I had something a little bit more romantic in mind. But at least between all of this chaos, John and Brandy seem to be enjoying each other's company, so at least that's something, I guess. And yeah, they didn't bring the tent for no good reason. They brought the tent because John and Brandy should really have their first night together. And even though they won't have that much privacy, they can't leave them completely alone because that wouldn't be safe. So the others are going to be here on these hay bales. And John and Brandy, they just start dancing like all on their own. I didn't tell them to do that. That is so cute. That is so cute. That is absolutely adorable. And Amin is like, yeah, I want whatever they're having. I'm sure that he's missing Ivy right now. And they're all getting smelly. We do have a water well right here. So let's get John and Brandy into the tent. And let's get the others some water buckets, I guess. Brigitte having a little party of his own. So we're letting Sandy grab a few buckets of water. And we're breaking up Kennedy and Kobe because they keep fighting. There are some buckets out here. So the ones that are really, really dirty can freshen themselves up. And we're ready for the second part of this outing. Honestly, I think we should just organize another outing because, yeah, the night isn't over yet. The night isn't over yet. And apparently you can also open this present. So, I don't know. Let's do that, I guess. Brandy seems so in love. A new toy. Okay. That's interesting. That is so cute. They are definitely going to give this to their future child. That is adorable. Okay, let's put this in his inventory, get back to the outing, and get back to the cuddling with Brandy. I almost forgot, but I also gave Christy the lanterns. She brought these from the settlement. So I think we should be able to give these guys a little bit more light so you can actually see something. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Yeah, so since they're on a good outing score right now, let's send John and Brandy into the tent. And try and improve on that. We're not going to try for baby. Just going to woohoo. That'll be enough. Yeah, one of them actually did fall asleep. Oh, she needs to use the bathroom. Oh my god. Okay. Join John, please. And we're going to return to the settlement around midnight, so we still have an hour and a half, I think. Woohoo with John. Don't sleep. There we go. Oh, they're all going to watch. Oh, I didn't know they were going to do that. Okay, well, let's let that be like a new tradition. I had no idea. Okay, we're going to send all of them right here because the others are... Just because John and Brandy are in the tent doesn't mean that the others can't do something while they're here. And Abhijit and Christy fell asleep in the shed that they had their romantic moment in. And Christy now has the wish to get engaged to Abhijit. And I think that Abhijit is like seeing John and Brandy together, he just can't stay behind. So he is definitely going to do some kind of romantic gesture for Christy. But yeah, we'll have to see when he wakes up, because right now he is fast asleep. So let's see if we can get this outing to a little bit of a higher score. We still have an hour to go. Joe and Comey are going to play with their football that Joe brought. And they both have the sports hobby. And these two are actually pretty close to becoming friends. And Kennedy wants to gain another friend. Oh, they did become friends. Okay. Maybe they can now play red hands then. That usually is a good boost to... She thinks he's boring. We'll play with her then. That's usually a good boost to the score. This had potential. Well, we were so close. So close. And it's almost close to midnight. So yeah, I think it is time to gather everyone. But of course, right at the moment as I started gathering everyone to go home, something had to happen again. It's always at the last minute. And go home. I think Kennedy just started flirting with Melissa. So we have another fight on our hands right here. Yeah. Oh, Melissa and Comey are flirting. Oh, she is probably apologizing to him. There is one more thing that we really, really should do. And that is that Melissa wanted to classic dance with Comey, and there is like no better opportunity than right now. So let's stay a little bit longer to do that. And they actually can't because their relationship is not high enough, but they can spend some time together, so they might as well do that. I think Brandy is going to come out of the tent too. No, she is in the tent. Nope, they're in the tent talking. What happened to the tent? I don't even want to know. It is definitely time to go home. So I'm just so obsessed with this fireworks. Let's gather all of our stuff. Don't forget the tent this time. And Abhijit seems to be determined to fire each and every one of these, and we're not going to stay here for that. It'll be midnight when all of them get back to the settlement again. So it is time to now start looking at what the others have done during this time when they were home, because they did get some time to do a little bit more skill building and be a little bit more productive and efficient than these guys have been, because this has just been like a huge mess. But it was a fun huge mess, and I do think it is a very memorable moment to have that first wedding. So yeah, we have our first couple. They have their treasure chest, which was the first requirement. They are married now, which was the second requirement. And now all they need is all of the right materials that are required for the house. And we will have them ready to move out on Tuesday, day 8 of the challenge. Not bad. Now all we need is to do the same for the next 6 households that are going to move out before winter. And it's interesting that Abhijit became friends with both Joe and Amin, the new guys. We already knew that he wasn't too happy with his role in the group, but he seems to have taken the opportunity to do some bonding with the new guys, to maybe have some better allies in the future. It'll be really interesting to see how that develops and what these guys are going to be up to when they join their forces. Yeah, can't wait to see what happens there. But before we move back to the settlement, let's see how we achieve those expansions. We started this challenge with 4 buildings in the main hood and lots of empty space to build our future town. The idea is that there are several points in the challenge where you can get a choice on how to proceed, so there are 2 options that you can choose from. In this case, and at this point in the challenge, the choice is mostly: are you going to keep spending the survivors' time on scavenging and trying to grow the town by adding lots of new survivors, or are you going to try and build the town with the starting set of survivors that you already have and grow this town over time? Certain town services need certain sims with certain traits because they cannot get promoted any higher than level 6 without the needed degree, and you might not have someone with that degree in your group yet, so that will be a reason to keep looking for new survivors until you find someone with that degree, so you can progress the career, the technology tree, above level 6 of that career. We have met the requirements for all 3 of the expansions by visiting each lot 3 times for a minimum of 8 hours, as stated in this page of the rules. So we can always go back to these lots if we want to, but adding a settlement expansion gives us some extra benefits on the settlement itself, and we really want those too, to have some time, to save some time traveling back and forth. Also, because with the mod for the community time project, you can only have 1 group of sims leave the lot at the same time, so while the scavenging crew is out, nobody else can go to the forest. So movement across the map is a bit restricted by game mechanics, but to me it also represents that they cannot leave the settlement behind without anybody looking after it. So technically we have met the requirements for the forest expansion on Sunday evening, and the requirements for the quarry and the cornfields on Monday morning, or on Monday I should say, because we went to the cornfields at 4 p.m. So by using the lot adjuster, I added the expansion we earned by going to the forest on the right side, giving us some extra area with trees included in the accessible area of the lot. And then again, by using the lot adjuster, I added the expansion we earned by going to the quarry on the left side of the settlement, giving us some extra area with stone included in the accessible area of the lot. And the expansion of the cornfields we are going to save for later, because there's a lot more to that and we're going to save that for another episode. Next to the benefits that these expansions will give, they have also earned us some cast points, 2 for each expansion. And there are also 2 more things that gave us the cast points for adding the new sims to our town. The first one was discovering a new subhood by completing its objective, and the second subhood will also have its own unique objective and its own unique character that resides there. But we're not ready in this subhood yet. We still have 4 more lots that we can go to scavenge and find new items and hopefully new treasure chests. But yeah, after that there will definitely be a next subhood too. And then the second one is that we did see the construction site for the houses, but what we didn't see was that in these last few days, Comey and Brandon also built the first town service. It's a storage barn, and I don't have footage of that yet, but we will see the storage barn very soon. It is 100% inspired by a great game called Banished, and if you don't know about the game yet, go and check it out. It is awesome in its simplicity, but it's also so very punishing and hard. So the Hard&Harsh part came from that game, if you hadn't recognized that yet and if you didn't know the game. So that honestly inspired a huge part of this challenge in the first place. Like, it is one of the best games I have ever played, I have to say. And don't be fooled by the simple looks of it. It is honestly very challenging. And then there's one more thing that can give the survivors more cast points. So we have 4 things that can actually give us cast points. But again, we are keeping that 4th one for another episode, because quite frankly, that one deserves an episode of its own. So they'll definitely be one of the next episodes. And I'm hoping to film the season finale in episode 16. So we actually have 4 more episodes left in this first season. So with all of that being said, it's time to go take a look at the statistics page of our Build a City challenge. So here we have the summary of the rules, and on the bottom there are 3 rows saying 1 town service means 1 cast point. So it doesn't matter if it's a sim-owned shop or if that it's a town service, both of those are going to give us 1 cast point each. But they do have very different requirements, so that's why it's 2 separate things. 1 settlement expansion gives us 2 cast points, and 1 new subhood discovered gives us 3 cast points. And then we have the census of the hood. It's still nothing really interesting. We have 18 adults right now. On the right, we have the scavenging and abandoned areas as subhoods, which lets us know which ones are unlocked, how many times we visited, how many of the lots we actually discovered there, and how many of those we exhausted by digging for treasure. So here you can see that we have 2 out of 6 lots in the first subhood in the woods area. So that means we still have 4 lots to go that we can actually still find new items. So it's not a lot, but it's something. It'll give us a few more chances to get some treasure chests. And then on the left here, we can see everything about how many survivors are hiding in the surrounding area and how many cast points we have available to us. So we can see that we have 20 points right now and we have used 18. So we still have 2 more that we can spend whenever we do find any new survivors. And this is also where I track whether or not we have built the expansion to the settlement, although that's really hard to miss. And then lastly, we have the summary of the entire challenge, telling us how far along we are in building all these town services and all these shops and all these future dreams and hopes of building a thriving town. Phew, okay, so that was a lot of talking. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about the rules and the achievements and all of that. But let's go into the game and actually look at those expansions and see what kind of benefits they are going to give our settlement. So in the settlement, almost everyone is fast asleep after a day of mining or building or working on any of the other chores. So everyone is really exhausted and they need their sleep before they can continue. But there is one survivor awake and also sort of keeping watch on the outsides. And that is Marissa. And she is harvesting all of the new vegetables that have grown. So it's summer now. They can harvest most of the vegetables that have grown here. And they still have lots more to go. And I can also sort of imagine her taking the time to research how all of this produce grows so that she can learn from all of that and, maybe use that to her advantage in the future. So yeah, looking at the expansions, we have this extra part of land on the right side, and then we have this part of extra land on the left side. And we are going to do a few things with that. So what I want to do on this side is we are going to plant some trees here. We're also going to do something with the terrain, and I'm going to make it fit in a little bit more than it does right now. But in order for us to place the trees, we are going to need some simoleons. And I devalued the is that the right word? It sounds weird. I adjusted the value of the mature trees at the beginning of this challenge, actually, but we haven't used the trees yet because I found them. I think they were 500. I'm not sure, but we are not going to use them to sell them, so it wouldn't really influence the economics in any way. I just thought that it made the lots too valuable, so I changed that to 100. So we are going to Kuching, our settlement. We are now at 8941, and there's still the 5,000 that is going to go in that chest later on, and we are going to buy place 10 trees, and I'm going to sort of rearrange them later on. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So now we have 10 trees, and I think that is the right amount of what I want right here, because we also need a little bit of space for some other stuff. And the first thing I'm just going to move them here, because another thing that is going to be in this area, we have the clay pit right here, but we can also build a charcoal pit, and that is something that they didn't have any room for before. So I think this would be the perfect spot for that. So we are just going to place that, and that is in Sun and Moon Refining. I should really do something about these collection files because they all look the same. They have a perfect collection file per expansion, per mod, I should say. But yeah. They do all look the same when you have all of them. So we are going to place this one. I think I like the first one, like the basic one. And we are, like I said, I'm going to change the terrain so it looks a little better afterwards. But yeah, this one is free of charge, and we now have a charcoal pit, which means that we can burn wood and branches and logs and stuff to get charcoal for our smelter. So we have been using coal for that, but coal is really, there goes a lot of labor into gathering coal. So yeah, that's why a charcoal pit would be really, really nice, because you can just throw in the wood, it'll burn for quite a number of hours actually, and then you get some buckets of charcoal. So that is really nice. And the other thing that we are going to place here, and I'm going to find a better spot for it, but we have like the underground, the cellar fridge that would be really fitting in a world like this. And I think that would be something that Abhijit crafted and that they placed here. So that is going to take quite a chunk of simoleons out of our funds, but we do have something that could be did that just fill someone's wants? Did she have the want to buy a fridge? That's interesting. Okay, cool. So they finally have some wants that they can fulfill. I was looking in Abhijit's inventory because somewhere down the line they did find some appliances that we cannot use and that would be perfect to use in this craft. So we are going to get rid of the warnable fridge and 2 wooden components for when Abhijit crafted this thing in the last episode. Then on the other side, I think you can kind of guess what we're going to build here that is going to give us a benefit, and that is a mine. So we are going to place 2 extra mines here that one of the survivors can just walk into and go in there for 8 hours, just mine for items that they can find there, for iron, copper, stone. And we have exactly enough room for 2 of these between the trees. There we go. I am going to also do something about this terrain because this looks really weird right now. And we have this old garden right here. I think we're going to keep it for now, but yeah, we might use this area for something else in the future. And then the last thing is the roads. So what I used for that is just some terrain paint, and there are a lot of those actually that I used. And then on the newer lots I actually used this one. So I usually just kind of drag like freehand. It doesn't have to be like neat or anything, it's just gotta be a bit sloppy. And I usually combine a few dirt, mud and sand terrain paints. So you can make this look, you know, as pretty and as crappy as you would want it to be. And I think that the old ones are actually, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, they are floors. So I'm going to find a way to connect this to this and make it flow into the other terrain paint a little bit more. And of course, painting the terrain is going to cost us a little bit of simoleons, but we have so many right now, and there are also most of the survivors are going to work again on Tuesday. So yeah, I think we can spend a few of these simoleons to make it look a little bit nicer. So I will show you the end result when I'm done painting the terrain. Alright, so we are done with the expansions. I think I could have given them like 10 extra trees, so 2 times a ka-ching and 20 trees, but it wasn't really a dense forest, so I think this should be enough. Plus, I don't want to give them too big of a benefit, like a huge forest area that they can cut down. So yeah, I kind of like this. Plus, they're going to cut down the trees, maybe plant some new ones, because they can harvest the saplings right now because it's summer. So they are going to plant sort of like a little orchard right here, but they are also going to use this for other stuff. And I do love the view on the cornfields from here. That reminds me, I should remove the tent and the other stuff because that's not realistic, because that's actually in Marilena's inventory right now. Yep, there it is. And this is how the mine expansion, the stone expansion, came out. I gave them a little trash pile. I'm not sure if they can reach it, we'll have to see, but they can throw their trash out there, and an extra mining sign right here, so they can go into the mines and mine for stuff, but they can also mine right here. But mostly I kind of really like the sign. So yeah, the painting of the terrain is not great, but it's the best that I could do for now. And it's alright. We'll just probably place some items over it if it doesn't look good enough. But yeah, there are also a few items that we wanted to place that we crafted at the end of the last episode. And also they found these binoculars that were on an OMSP. And that is why I haven't seen them up until now. So we are going to give this to someone who has the nature hobby. But yeah, the first thing that I wanted to place is the archery target. And we have all this space at the end right here. But now that I thought about it, I thought it would be like much more interesting or realistic or whatever if we placed it here. So I kind of like having it out here. And also the archer that they can talk to, I thought it would be cool to add that here. So around here, I guess. Yeah, I do kind of like that because it's closer to the area where we can actually keep our eye on all of them at the same time. And if they're all back there, I can't see what they're doing most of the time, especially since we're with 18 right now. Also, we're going to fill this chest with the money, and we are just going to give the arch to John because he is in a political career, so he is most likely to become mayor. And all of the things that are meant for the town center, for the town services, should really go to John. He also autonomously harvested some coffee cherries, and I think that the coffee bushes are ready again, or the new coffee bushes are ready. So maybe when he comes home, he can harvest the rest of the cherries and dry them, so we can make our own coffee beans. That will be really, really nice. Also, I think we're going to wake up Benjamin, let him grab these sacks of coffee bags, and yeah, let's start doing something. Oh, and of course I forgot about one thing, because I always forget about one thing. Like, did you watch Columbo when you were younger? Or am I just really, really too old? So we have the coffee. No, not the coffee. I need coffee. We have the seeds making station. And that is, I think, another thing that they could have crafted. I really thought that it would go on that table. We're gonna have to use an OMSP for that, but I'll place it right here for now so we can look at it. So this is the seed making station from the gardening overhaul. All of the tomatoes that are in Melissa's inventory, I think she harvested them. We can put them in here, I think 5 at a time, and we can get seeds out of that. So that is really, really cool and really realistic, and I really like that. So in order for Abhijit to craft this, we of course are going to get rid of some items again. And he had this tray in his inventory. Yeah, perfect. So he crafted that from this tray and a wooden component, because a wooden component means that he spent time at the workbench actually crafting something. And even though that was yesterday, that doesn't really matter. He crafted this. So yeah, I'll see if I can find an OMSP that this actually fits on. So I ended up placing it on a invisible kitchen counter surface for the kitchen by Lamar, I think. And then I shifted it down a bit so it fits on the table. So that is now workable. I've tested it. And then on the other side of this room, I've made some space by moving all of these scenes that they drafted, because we are going to do something with the blueprints that they made. And also I wanted to sort of prepare for the next episode where we are going to do something with this corner, because in my mind this is the research corner with all their knowledge stuff and everything that they've collected, and it looks much different in my mind than it does in reality. So we are going to do something about that fairly soon. But of course we are going to need to craft items for that, and Abhijit is already busy enough with crafting the furniture for the new houses. So we'll add it to his list and he'll make it soon enough. So let's talk about the blueprints and the idea behind that. I will place them all on the wall right here. Okay, so I struggled with that a little bit more than I care to admit. But they're all here, and one of them is back here because apparently I cannot place it over the drawing table, but it doesn't matter because it's temporary anyway. So the idea behind this is that every one of these objects that they can potentially draft on the drafting table will be linked to an object that they can build, and that is going to advance the settlement. And the requirement that I have for that is they have to have 5 of the same ones. So we can see that there are 4 of these. So once one of these guys is going to start drafting again, I'm hoping that they will draw another one of these. This is of course for an exercise machine, and at first I thought, well, we'll just build them an exercise machine so they have something else that they can do to build their body skill. But first of all, that wouldn't be really an advancement, because everything that they do in the woods, like fishing, cutting trees, mining stone, everything like that builds body skill, sawing the planks. So there are already so many possibilities of building that body skill. But the one thing that I didn't know when I started this challenge was that I was going to place this electricity box by Lemaire. And this thing is so funny. It's really awesome. I don't mean to say that this thing is funny, but the mods that come with it and the possibilities that come with it, those are really funny. So as you can see, I've set this manually to the power being restricted. So this sort of disables all of the scenarios that come with the mod. But what it does do is that there is no electricity whatsoever on the entire lot. And that is exactly what we wanted, because electricity doesn't exist right now. It's all shut down. And this comes with an interesting object. There it is. It's an exercise bike, but it's not just an exercise bike. Like when you place this, you can see that there's a little battery behind it. So this powers something. And what you can do with this, you can link this to certain objects on the lot. Like right now we have, I think 3 candles. We have the candles, so we could potentially link it to the candles. And what it does is when you exercise on this bike, it generates power and the candles will burn. So this is so cool. This is going to give them the option to temporarily generate power for a few hours they can maybe use an appliance. So then the question is, what kind of appliances do we want them to use? So that is where the gas station comes in again, because there's something interesting about this lot, and it's an idea that I had since the beginning, but I've never really incorporated it, because up until now I really didn't have the details that we need for that, but now we do have them. So on this lot there are actually several things that we're going to use in the future. So there's fuel that we're going to replace by the fuel that comes with the electricity box mod. There's also a generator that we can use, which we are also going to replace with the generator mod or the generator, I should say, from this mod. The number one thing that we sort of need for this is the radio, because the idea that I had when I built this lot is, and this comes from a game that I've played, I have so many hours in that game. It's called State of Decay, and it's a zombie game. So next to Banished, it is also heavily inspired by State of Decay. Even this character is from that game. And the cool thing there is that you can build a base and you have a radio, but you need to power the radio in order for you to make contact with the outside world. And when you do make contact with the outside world, there's a possibility of finding new survivors. That's always what you want, because you want a bigger base, you want the group to be bigger so you're stronger, but also that game is very hardcore in the sense that when a character dies, they really die, you've lost them, but you can continue on by playing with another character. So they all have to sleep, so you have to switch between characters anyway. But the main thing there is you're always on the lookout for characters with certain traits, because you want to build like your ultimate group to work towards getting that end goal and winning the game. So what the idea that I had here was, I want to combine the job, the career of the slacker that has the gas station attendant. So we are going to make one of our survivors a gas station attendant, which means that during the day they will go to Eli. They will try and contact anyone outside with this radio, and they need power for that. So we're going to probably place the bike right here, and I'm going to make all of the townies that we have right now, I'm going to give them the slacker career. So whenever that gas station attendant comes home and we get the pop-up asking, do you want to bring home your colleague? That is when they found a new survivor. So they may have walked by this gas station, they may have contacted them on the radio, but that is when we will add a new survivor to our settlement. But we can only do that when we still have gas points. So we cannot have a gas station attendant when we have used up all our gas points. But we still have 2 points right now that we can spend. So we can actually assign a gas station attendant, and we are going to do that. And we actually want to assign 2 survivors to that, because one is going to have to ride the bike and the other one is going to man the radio. So yeah, we are going to send 2 survivors to the gas station every day or every working day to make sure that they are going to try and find new survivors out there. And we are going to set that up on the next working day, because John is going to go, he's a lobbyist and he is going to go outside to work. And we need him to talk to Eli and talk over his plans and see if he would be willing to cooperate with them to make this happen. So but I see that Andrea is already awake, so let's jump back into the chores that we have for these guys. So we are going to wake up Benjamin. The others are still way too tired to get up yet, so we are going to let them sleep. Andrea is just eating some mushrooms from the storage before she gets ready to go into the mines. We are going to let her mine for salt today, because we need that for some future projects. So Benjamin is just out here in his pajamas gathering water to fill up the bathtub and to do some other things with that. Because we also want him to brew some coffee in a minute. There we go. Bathtub is filled for when the others wake up and need a bath. And I think I actually want Goopy to get up and take that bath so he can get ready for painting again. So outside, Benjamin is gathering the fish that was drying on the rack. And when he is done, he can also add in some more fish that he is carrying that he caught in the last few days. So the ones that are not going on this drying rack are going into their pantry for food points, because they can only hang the fish on the rack when it is still fresh and when they just got it out of the water. There we go. It is now starting to get dark, but Benjamin can gather some wood and convert that into bundles of firewood. But we are not going to light the fire right now. We are actually going to make this into charcoal in our new charcoal pit. Meanwhile, Goopy is enjoying his bath. And Andrea is getting ready to go into the mines in our newly added mining area. So Benjamin got a bit distracted here, but we are going to let him make charcoal from the bundles of wood that are now in his inventory, because he split the large stack of firewood. So let's see how that looks. There we go. And I also woke up Brandon, who is going to be outside and then stock these items with the stone so they can continue working on those. And I want Benjamin to start collecting these saplings and branches because we are going to cut down these trees. So let's start with this one, and he can do that one afterwards. And Brenda's home, but she is having some issues, so we'll deal with her later. So Brandon is still dirty, but that doesn't really matter for the chores that he has right here. So we're going to let him stock this. Someone else can start grinding that, but he can refine stone and work on another set of bricks. There we go. So now that the bathroom is empty, we can also wake up Ivy, who is the last one sleeping here. And we are going to let her use the chamber pot, take a bath, freshen up, and then just eat something. And I think there are still some, we still have these chestnuts right here. So we're going to let her eat one of those because we want to have, this is the last food that they can eat before the rest comes home at around midnight, because Brandy is carrying the soup again. And out here, Marissa was talking to our new scarecrow archer. And we keep having errors, and I think I have to do some mod conflict checking. I'm pretty sure that it's immersive rain mod, but for the sake of this episode, we are just going to force some clear skies. And we are going to do that by taking out our, it's not the season and weather controller, because that can only create different kinds of weather, but we need the other mod for that. And that is called the Time and Weather Manager by Simnopki. And we want to force weather clear sky. And that is going to clear the rain for now, just until I have solved whatever is causing these errors. Oh good, and John is going to be home in 5 hours and 30 minutes with the rest of the guys that went with him. So we have 4 more hours to go until midnight. That gives us plenty of time to gather more of the resources that we can use for crafting when the others come home. Oh right, and I did wake up Ivy. She is in the bathtub, and after she's still in here. After she is done, she's going to eat something, and after that we are going to let her draft more blueprints. So she's fully energized, so she can probably make 2. And hopefully she is going to draft another exercise machine or something else interesting that is linked to an object that we can craft in the next episode. But for now, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me and with these survivors. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one. But not before I leave you with some clips of these 6 survivors doing their chores until midnight, and the rest comes home.